The next thing that you want to get in your toolkit is a friend. Okay.
Okay.
You want to go and you want to go in a Facebook group. You want to go on the vendor list. We have micro solderers on the vendor list that you can contact that I know, you know what I'm saying? I've literally talked to them, and you don't want to get asked by me about if you know something, you know what I'm saying? So all these people pass that test, right? So
Okay.
the deal is you need a friend. These friends are free because they want to make money from you, right? So your next tool is going to be micro soldering. They've got the microscope and the soldering iron and the hot air station and the power supply and the preheater. You know, they've got all that stuff. You don't have to have it. It's
And the
free.
knowledge.
They have all the technology, right?
Correct.
And most of these people are trying to build businesses, trying to build YouTube channels. One of the things that I love to do in my personal free time is help people build their YouTube channels, and anything I can do to get them in. You guys already know, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And with that, you're helping them, right? And they have the free tool for you. So now if you get a good one, right, you genuinely should have no fear, right? My tool bag comes with fearlessness. How about that? Right.
Yep.
So
Almost.
yeah, and it costs you nothing. Just being kind and friendly to somebody. You know what I'm saying? So you got that. Ask them their expectations. Make sure you go over packaging with them. Do all the thing. You know what I'm saying? No details left unturned kind of thing. Pay them on time, and never, ever, ever. Oh my goodness. Don't be that person who doesn't want to pay for their board repair. We're there for you until you're not there for us. You know what I'm saying? You'll get put on the back list, and you'll take 2 weeks to do your stuff after that. Anyway, so we've got that free one now. Now we can start talking about the other stuff. You know what I'm saying? So you've got your microscope to look at everything. You can go in there. You can start to identify stuff. All this stuff is free now. You can look at the board. You can decide what an FPC connector is. You can start putting the knowledge I'm trying to give you into that through your eyes to see, right? Go to iFixit. Pick up an iFixit kit. Okay, we all know, you know what I'm saying? Like I'll be honest, like they're really good friends of mine. They've always been there for me. They've always supported me. In fact, they were literally the very first, like, I wouldn't even say company, because it was their people that spoke to me on like a personal level when I went to go visit them. And they are just as passionate about tools as I am. Ooh, y'all heard that offer up. So they are just as passionate as I am. So go grab yourself an iFixit kit. If you want a quick, easy answer, and you're right near them, right? And you can get the pro kit, and you're going to have all the little dumb tools, right? You know what I'm saying? Screwdrivers, little tweezers, all the level 2 stuff, right? What's that? Another $60?
All right. Yep.
Okay. So we're still under $300 total. So you tell me, I mean, if we talk about business license, all that stuff, let's say we're at like $500. Okay. I think that's still pretty fair here. You know what I'm saying? Based on your local jurisdiction. We're at this point. We've got our basic tools. We've got our microscope. I think really outside of that, maybe just like a basic power supply so that you can understand electricity, right? A basic multimeter. There are so many cheap power supplies and multimeters. You can buy a power supply and a multimeter for combined probably like $60. You know what I mean? If you want to get a nice one, get yourself one that says RMS, root mean squared. That's the good one. Any of them that say that is going to be a really good one, right? But for the most part, you can go to Harbor Freight or any little cheap place, and just the tolerances for what you're measuring, it ain't like that. You know what I'm saying? Like you're measuring the average of 1 to 5 volts.
Correct.
If you want to get deeper than that, then yeah, you buy something crazy, but we're not looking at that. You know what I'm saying? Really, I would say as long as it's got diode mode along with everything else, you're fine. Yeah, just
Correct.
basic diode mode, and everything else after that's going to be, continuity mode, just basic stuff. But yeah, I mean, you what are we at? About 600? Yeah, you're in. You know what I'm saying? You're in for like 600. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Outside of that, you've got your friends, you've got your tools, you've got your backup, you've got your foundation. You know what I'm saying? And that is actually still a much cheaper barrier of entry than really most other industries if you want to get in professionally, especially when you can make $1,000 in the first week. I don't want to hear it.
Correct. Yeah. Especially, I mean, this advice is fantastic, because I mean, you getting a microscope, that's one of the things that will let you see what you're working on.
Yeah.
your mistakes that you did, and then you can explain that to a client, and then
Yeah.
get a better relationship.
You can even show them.
Correct.
Truthfully, if I'm being straight with everybody, I believe there is one microscope option. Truthfully, I gave you the cheap option because I know some of y'all out there are just going to not listen to the advice that I have lived through, that he literally verified and validated. I didn't even know. He was just like, bruh, I wish I knew all that. This man said he wished he knew that. I wish I knew it. And it's a couple $100 difference. Don't let me catch none of y'all out there with PlayStation 5s and tell me that, nope, I don't want to hear it. Don't let me catch y'all with a graphics card. Don't let me catch you with a PlayStation. None of that. If you're trying to open a business and you won't sell that thing to do all this real quick. You know what I'm saying? There's one option for a microscope. If we're being honest, it is a semifocal microscope, just like this one right here. And is not trinocular. It is semifocal, and it's got a nice camera that is mated from the factory. You can literally put it on a lightweight stand, keep it at the front. You can do it mobile. You can put this in your car, and you can show the customer right there what the problem is.
Yep, for sure. So all of these plus a micro starting person that knows what to do. That's a good option as well. So always having
that's a tool. That is a tool. It is confidence. When you can be confident in your guy or your girl, there's a lot of girls out there getting into this. And by the way, ladies, I'm going to tell you right now, y'all listen to me too. Some of the greatest micro solderers in the world are women. Okay? Sure. I tell you what, they really are. And everybody, this is for everybody. Phone repair is for everybody. It is a male-dominated field, but it is for everybody. Yep. Involve your wife. Bring everybody in. Yeah, or wives, bring your husbands in. It's all good.
Yeah, and especially it's an industry that requires a lot of learning always.
Mm-hmm. So teamwork.
Correct. So recommendations are those for the new persons that want to start on this business and this journey. How hard was for you to really get into micro soldering? How hard was it?
I do not believe that my story is relevant to everybody else's, but I will still tell it because, like I said, if we kind of follow the beginning here, I've kind of been growing into this. You know, my family, I literally grew up with this, so it's very, very difficult to put my story in context with everybody else.
Okay. Yep.
But what I can share is the fact that I have been traveling around and I have been working with people, right? And these people have made astronomically ultra fast progress. Okay. The last person I went to help, I was with them for less than a week. And the next day he calls me and says, I did my first audio IC and everything was fine. I went to Denver and within 4 hours, my boy was micro soldering doing IC chips. It is, I believe, and this is something to delineate. Okay. There is duality in micro soldering. This is not one skill. I have kind of like this theory on skills, and it's like an adjacent skill theory, right? You have one big skill, and then you kind of have the adjacent working skills around it. And if anybody's ever played that game Path of Exile, go look at their skill tree. That's life. You know what I mean? It's like 100,000 things. In micro soldering, we have two different trains of thought and two different pathways. Micro soldering, and he knows what I'm about to say here, board level diagnostics. There are two different skills. Totally different, not the same thing. They do not grow at the same rate.
No, that's right.
See how smiley he is? Because he knows. My boy knows. You know what I'm saying? He's like, oh, Lord. Because let me ask you, let me flip the interview. Let me ask you a question. Let me prove my points by just asking you questions, right? When did it get easier after you felt like your soldering was on point? Like the diagnostics part?
It got easier. Yeah.
Yeah. It got easier because you gained confidence in what your hands were doing.
Correct.
Right? So for me, we draw back to the theory of getting the microscope first. I don't tell y'all this stuff without thinking about it. I usually I walk a lot. I'm one of those people that walks a hole in the floor. Yesterday, I think I put like 25,000 steps. No, seriously, like 25,000 steps just thinking. You know what I'm saying? I'm always poking on something. So I don't, these whole conversations I've thought about in my head, I feel like sometimes. The deal is when you start and focus on learning the skill of micro soldering, without any kind of diagnostics first, okay? Keep them separate. If I can tell you right now, without you knowing what the problem is, how to go, just, hey man, I need you to flip this chip for me. You know what I'm saying? I just need you to pop it. And you can do it with pristine process. That's it. It's process. You know what I'm saying? If you follow process, you will always be good, because there's visual cues, thermal cues. There's all kinds of cues and things that tell you as you're going what you should be looking for. My methods and my theories leave no stone unturned. You cannot, it is hard to break something if you do it the way I tell you. You almost have to try and break the board. It's weird, right? Now, apply that to trying to figure out what's wrong with the board now, right? It's much easier. It's much less scary. You're not worried about if your diagnostics is wrong. You're worried about nothing. Actually, yeah, you're just worried about if your diagnostics was wrong. That's it. And at that point, you could fly. Oh my God, you literally, baby bird's got its wings. You know what I'm saying? We're just flying around now. We can do our thing. We can go eat our food. And now we can go live our lives, right? So once you know how to do that micro soldering, and let's just say let's just say if you learn everything up to basic, like right before underfill, you are in, and that's my goal, everything up to underfill for people, you know what I'm saying, just to make sure that they have that concept down, because I do believe that there is a technical hurdle jump that comes with practice and time before you should really be focusing too much on the underfilled components. I think you need to practice for a little bit first. But once you've got those basic skills, then at that point you're good. And I think that within 7 days, you can learn the basics well enough just with hand soldering that within 6 months to a year, you could become a very competent micro solderer. And I think anybody can do it. If you watch my last video, there's a minute and a half. My buddy Jose literally looked me in the face on the second day and said, "Bud, I don't think this is for me. It's hard." And at the very end of the video, this man is just, and then he calls me and it's the greatest thing in the world. And he didn't even believe it. And it came into him and he just was like, wow, that was easier than I thought, because it is easier than you thought. Micro soldering first, then pick up all your board level diagnostics. If you spend a week, you're not missing phones. You think you're going to learn how to solder and miss work? Get out of here. Once you get this hammer, you're going to be nailing all kind of crap in.
Yep. And that consistency that you said is very, very vital for all this work. Be consistent and have that discipline of doing. You know, even if it doesn't come out good, you got to give it another try, because
that's the thing. It's time. You know what I mean? Now, we talked about real quick about how easy it is to get a micro soldering, this, that, and the third. I think, there is that theory, that not theory, but that feeling maybe in the audience that's like, well, what am I going to learn on that I'm not going to break? What if I break it? Well, breaking stuff is the best way to learn, especially when there's no actual like fear in it, right? So number one, if you have your network person, I'm not very clearly, I am not telling you to work on stuff. I'm telling you something different. Listen to the end of this sentence, please, before you click out. You know what I'm saying? If you go on eBay and buy those iPhone 4s, buy $100 worth, you can now start taking the phone's chips off, putting them back on, harvesting the components, putting them back on. And if your internal fear is gone, my buddy Armando from STG Repairs, we were goofing off one time and we were talking about people who buy the CNCs. CNCs are more necessary now through some more of the CPU work and stuff for transplants. But at the time, we were seeing a lot of people buying them for everything. You're taking off at a TriStar. Yeah. It's goof off. We're laughing about it. He goes, Justin, the only reason, he goes, the only reason people buy CNCs is because they're afraid of the heat. If you're not afraid of the heat and you know how the heat works, you're not going to be afraid of it. You're not going to feel like you need to go buy some $10,000 machine to take chips off. People buy $10,000 machines to take chips off because they're too afraid to use their own hands and follow the things that I've said to tell them. I'll be real. I've got a micro soldering 101 and a 102 playlist that basically by the time you're done with it, you're doing everything. It's the information's free. It's already there. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, it's easy. 1 year. Let's give it 1 year. Cheap. It's cheap. 1 year and cheap. Just practice.
It's easier. It's less hard than you thought. And
much
then
less.
You got consistency. You gotta be all the time. And this is, you gotta treat it like a business. You know,
you can't stop. Don't stop doing it. Like, I feel like for me, I've actually kind of stepped back a lot from doing micro soldering. I have felt in my hands, you know, you got your boys we were talking about earlier. I hadn't seen one of my boys in like a couple years, and he was one of my buddies in the mall. He comes up while I was at the house, and he just says, "Your hands are different now." And I'm like, "What?" And he goes, your hands don't work the same they used to. And it's when I'm like not in the shop every day. It's true. Your skills atrophy. You know what I'm saying? I think for me, it's like, I know the process so well, I can't mess it up, but like the actual like hand skills definitely will atrophy if you let them go. That's why it's so important to learn process and memorize process.
Yep, that's right. Well, it was a great time talking to you. You got a lot of great content on your channel. We like it a lot. So, this video will be uploaded probably in the next couple of days.
Yeah,
we share this content with a lot of people so we can learn your knowledge and subscribe to your channel so that way they can see all that content, grateful content that you have. And I was watching all your videos and I was like, you were talking about flux. I was like, wow, I wish I could have known about flux too.
Hey, if you're not fluxing,
you're not soldering, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Everybody knows. Everybody in the audience, if you're not fluxing, you're not soldering. That's how we're ending this whole thing. I got a whole video for it.
Yeah, that was great. Great talking to you. Thank you so much for sharing all this time with us. We really, really appreciate it. And we'll have your links on the description so that way people can find you and get all this knowledge that you have. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
I also appreciate you and the time you've taken today. If you guys ever want to jam, talk on, do live streams, you know what I'm saying? Figure out what the audience wants. Let's do it.
All right, great.
All right, man. All right, well, it looks like he fell out. I'm going to go ahead and end this thing. You guys have a wonderful rest of the day. I hope you guys learned something today. And, you know, I will catch you over on their channel, my channel. If you guys need to see me, you can go to art.of.repair and it's got my link tree. You can catch all my stuff there. Oh, he's back. I took over. But anyway, for me, that's it. I'm going to go ahead and head on out here. I had a wonderful time today with everybody. And hopefully we'll do this again real soon.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
All right, man. Have a good day, bud.
Thank you.